Today's episode is brought to you by Jesus. What's that, Jesus? It's time to start the Swamp Things episode. You're watching Swamp Things. That disclaimer gets me every time.
I love the disclaimer.
It also gets my illustrious co-host, Spicy C. I'm, of course, the Sam Tater. Welcome, Spicy C.
Hey, Sam.
Thanks for joining me today.
First week of school.
First week of school, yes. Yes, so a little personal update. The kids are all gone to school. And so we feel a little bit like empty nesters. And I know Spicy C is going to talk about that in a second, but we feel like empty nesters because all of our kids are in school now. All 5 of them go to Immaculate Conception, and they all got on the bus this morning. And people have been a little bit concerned about us, but I don't think they need to be because I think we'll find plenty to do while the kids are at school.
Hey, Sam, will the bus bring them back at the end of the day as well?
The bus, well, I hope so.
Then you're not empty nesters. It's completely different. You have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm just...
It is a moment, though, right?
For the first time in 13 years, Michelle is actually at home without any kids.
That's a whole different world.
They're all at school, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of different. And I'm thinking about doing a little work from home just because I might have some peace and quiet there now. So
Right.
A lot more than I have here. Right, Jesus? Yes, he agrees. You can't see him when I'm in the screen, can you? There he is. Yeah, he's just, I moved him over here so that we could, be together again. So
You and Jesus.
we're close. We're real close. Finish each other's sentences.
Sorry. Couldn't help it. I know you're real close.
Anyway, physically. He's right there.
He's right there.
I don't mean we're close.
Right over your shoulder. Not necessarily close spiritually. That's sad, but who am I to judge?
Unfortunately, I'm a really bad friend when it comes to...
Oh.
I am.
He'll help you work on that.
I know he loves me still, but...
You know how many times I've sung Jesus Loves Me over the last few months? I sing it like at least 3 times a week. And people I sing it with love it. Anyway, speaking of love, we are literally empty nesters again because our daughter is back living independently as she was.
You're not literally empty nesters.
Because?
Because you don't literally live in a nest.
Okay, the term empty nester is a figurative term. So let's say we're literally figuratively...
You're not literally something figurative.
You've got a good point.
Okay.
You win. I give this one up.
Thank you.
I concede.
I win.
You win.
Winner!
Winner, winner. Chicken dinner. Where does that even come from? So it was kind of sad because, unexpectedly, because of all the shutdown and so on, May ended up back home in the middle of March. 6 months later, almost 6 months later, she's back living where she wants to be, independently on her own in an apartment in Waterloo with some friends. And that's good, but we had a lot of fun. And she did 3 online courses this summer, which was her plan anyway. So now she's doing 5. That's one of the reasons she's there, because the internet's way better in Waterloo than at home. She's got her friends. She's living independently. Yep. And she went hiking with one of her pals yesterday. So that was good. And we'll probably see her sometime soon. So it's not like she's gone off the end of the earth. But it's kind of sad because we miss her.
I always miss May too when she's gone. I like when she's around.
She'll be back. Don't worry. She'll haunt you somehow or other.
I like her.
Okay.
Jesus likes her. Right? Yeah. He told me.
Good.
Yeah.
So the kids are back in school.
The kids are back in school.
You know what's really weird?
The boys are back in town.
Boys back in town. Tin Lizzie.
The boys are back in school. The boys are back in school. Down, down.
You know way too much.
Boys are back in school.
So this was really freaky from a little episode from her life that she, I think, is not that personal. She was picked up early in the morning, it was still dark, from her apartment in Athens, Greece, to get on the flight back to Canada. And the taxi driver had the radio on, and the song was playing. It was eerie for her. Was "School's Out for the Summer" by Alice Cooper. School's out forever.
Bummer.
Well, also like forever.
Yeah, I know.
That's the way it felt. It was so weird.
That's funny. That is kind of eerily prophetic
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
Yeah. So she's happy to be back, which is good. Are your kids happy to be back in school, by the way, before we move
They're
on?
very happy, yeah.
That's good.
They're very excited.
What are they happy about?
We're sort of humming and hawing about what would be best for them. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end, we opted to send them because they all really like school. They all are doing fairly well in school, and they're learning French, which we value. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so they like it.
Will our friend Nick be one of their teachers?
No,
Okay.
no, there are 4 JKSK classes there.
Wow.
So she is one of the JKSK teachers,
Mm-hmm.
but not of Sammy, who
Okay.
just started JK today.
Right on.
Good job, Sammy.
And he was happy, eh?
Oh, super happy.
That's great.
Yeah. Yep. Wearing his backpack all week. Could hardly wait to get out the door. He has no idea what he's in for.
Might enjoy it. You'll find out this afternoon or tonight, whenever you get
Yeah.
back home. All right. What's up next, Sam?
Well, next we have for our Bruce Gray content, specifically Gray content today, we have an interview with a friend, more a friend of Spicy C than my friend, but I met him during this interview. And his name is Jeff Wilson. And we interviewed Jeff Wilson about a movie called Wolf Dog, which was produced near Markdale.
Shot and produced near
Shot and
Markdale.
produced near Markdale in
I think 1958.
58.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie, but this guy is a Wolf Dog fanatic, so he's a lot of fun to listen to. So we hope you enjoy.
So, hi,
Oh,
Jeff.
okay.
Good evening. And we'll do this as a little bit of an interview. And then once you get going on, especially on Wolf Dog, you just talk as much as you want, and we'll throw in funny, weird, interesting comments, hopefully questions.
Okay.
That's their
Okay,
style.
that sounds good to me.
So we're based at the Catholic Church in Hanover, but we're really into Grey Bruce, and we love
Awesome.
to learn more about interesting stuff in Grey Bruce. That's at least half or more of what we do. We do some faith-oriented stuff, but mostly we just love to hear about Grey Bruce. So Jeff,
Very nice.
a little bit about yourself. I know a little bit about you. You've been working at the Dundalk Herald probably like for many, many years, right? Doing
For very
layout.
many years.
Yep.
Yes. Well, I'd say a good chunk of my life has been spent in the Dundalk Herald.
Yes.
That's
And
very true.
I'm going to say in tribute to Jeff, along with other people that work there, that 2 of our kids, Michael and May, both worked there part-time when they were in high school. And I always feel like people like you, Jeff, kind of helped raise Michael and May. And I know it's a big part of their life. They love all the stories that
that's nice
get
to hear.
told. Yep. And your presence, I know they say this, I can say this to you, I hope you don't blush. You're one of the nicest people they've ever met. Seriously.
Wow.
They
Well,
both
that's
say
so
that.
nice to hear that.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Two people I trust.
they are 2 of the nicest and most brilliant young people I've ever met.
Whoa.
You have done such a wonderful job in raising them.
That was
I have to say, I get into a conversation with your children, and I'm a little. That's when I blush, when I realized I'm not half as brilliant as they are. They are so wise and knowledgeable about things.
Yeah, they made me a better speaker too, because they would always
Yes.
fact check my talks
Yeah.
even while I was giving them.
Okay, let's check my facts here.
Yeah,
I know
I'd
exactly.
say something a little controversial, and I'd look over at them, see if I was doing okay.
Yes.
Sam leads a
True.
youth group at the church here. So both Michael and May
Oh,
and Ray
great.
before them were part of the group. So they got to know each other quite well. But
Oh,
besides that,
absolutely great.
you can say more about whatever you want to. But a couple of things I'm aware of, Jeff, is you're a very creative person. And I've always loved The Average Farm. What is The Average Farm?
Oh, well, it is a comic strip that that I created in my own little mind. It's been a long process, but it's something that kind of gelled into a comic strip that was published in several newspapers, not just locally, but across Canada in some way, shape, or form. And it's the one project I've been involved in that I really enjoyed. It was all the gags I wrote myself and created all the characters,
Hmm.
and it was really a labor of love. And to hear you say that makes me feel great, because
Yeah.
when you're working on a comic strip, sometimes you wonder who's actually following it or who knows about it, and
Yep.
so to know that your kind words are really feel
Yeah.
good. Anyway, yes, I worked on that for a number of years. Haven't really worked on the strip much since about probably early 2000s. I would say the last one I did was on about 2003 or 2004. But then I kind of I don't know. I just felt like, well, it's time to, I wasn't getting the ideas anymore. The strip wasn't getting published in any more papers. So it wasn't that I didn't love what I did. It's just that I felt like, well, if it's not going anywhere, then and I didn't really feel. I felt kind of stifled creatively, so it just kind of ended, and it
It had its
wasn't
time.
anything I purposely did. But
Yeah.
that's
And it's called what's the title of the strip again?
it's called The Average Farm.
The Average Farm.
AVRIDGE Farm. The
Oh,
name of the
okay.
family is Average.
Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
and the farm was their family farm, and it's a lot of it was based on my years growing up, but it was just something that I created and built on, and really had a lot of fun with for 10 or 12 years.
And you did also another thing I'm aware of, Jeff, is you did
Yes.
improv at Second City, and then you've done theater since then some of which I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you have. Yes. Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yes, I trained. Actually, I was trained at the Second City. I didn't. I performed a couple of student shows at the Second City
Hmm.
main stage. So, but I wasn't a Second City. I wasn't hired by the Second City at any point, and they'll want me to say that because
Yeah, fair enough.
I had to sign something when I left there that I wouldn't say. But yeah, fair enough. It was I was trained there, and I learned a lot of skills there, and it was mainly because I was looking to develop listening, um, uh, engaging myself in things, and being a good team player, and that's basically why I did it. But it was so
Hmm.
much fun, and I began to perform a fair bit with local groups in Owen Sound and Collingwood, and I've done a lot of acting. And Barb and my wife Barb and I are involved in the Thornbury Community Theatre. We've done several productions there, I think
Hmm.
7 or 8 now, and
Yeah.
I've done improv shows, and um, the shows that you've seen, Charles, have been dinner theaters that we've done
Hmm.
at the theater, and they which have been a lot of fun, and for most of them we've gotten pretty good response on them.
Sam, if you're looking for a nice evening with your wife Michelle in the future, the next time they got a show on there, whenever that happens to be, we hope not
Whenever
too
that
long.
happens.
Yep. We're
Let's
all
hope.
waiting for stuff to start happening.
I like it.
Yeah.
Theater.
It's a lot of fun. They did a
Yes.
murder
Oh,
mystery
thank
one, which was like a combination of murder mystery plus musical review for like songs from like the
Yes.
golden oldies. It was great. And if you think of Jeff
Thank you.
as like a really mild mannered, really super nice guy, you get to see Jeff as like a crazy semi homicidal maniac on stage.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it was great. So
Yeah,
Jeff,
thank you.
I could see that. I could see that casting decision.
yeah,
Just based on what I know already.
You could, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I get a lot of the crazy guy parts.
yeah. The mild mannered
Crazy
guy
that's
who's
out of
actually
control.
exactly. Yep, Jeff in an undershirt.
Yes,
with blood on it.
Skin-tight Mylar suit. Yes, I don't think I'll be doing that again too soon. But,
okay, it was fun though. It was a lot
I
of
had
fun.
my time doing it.
So, Jeff, we're going to ask you why you care about Wolf Dog first, but before that, what is
Yes.
Wolf Dog?
Wolf Dog. Well, it is. I'm a young fellow. Well, when I was a young fellow, I grew up in a town named Markdale, and Wolf Dog is a film that was made in 1958. That was filmed mostly in Markdale area, And I wasn't born yet, but when I grew up, I began to hear stories about it. And one of the people that talked to me about it was were my parents, who were alive and around Markdale at the time. And being a little boy, thinking, you know, knowing what Markdale was, it was a small farm community in the middle of Grey County that didn't know, I didn't know too much about any films being filmed there. So to hear this was kind of an anomaly right off the bat. And I went to public school, and our librarian at the public school was a lady named Frida Hunt, who had been pretty much a lifelong resident of Markdale, and talked about this movie, Hollywood movie being made in Markdale. So I had two people basically, or a couple of different sources telling me this. So I kind of thought, well, this must have really happened. And so it was something that was in the back of my mind, and not a whole lot of information about it. And then I got a little older, and the people around Markdale were curious about whatever happened to this movie, and began to talk about it, and write letters to the editor, to the local Markdale paper. And so it began to get me thinking about it again. And I got talking with a friend of mine, Mike Anderson, who Mike used to be on the community radio station in Hanover. Speaking of Hanover, and Mike and I got to be quite good friends. And he said, they've been talking about this movie when I go to these Rotary Club meetings. And have you ever heard of it? And I said, oh yeah, I told him all the people that had told me about it. And I said, but I don't really know much about it. And the internet, the age of the internet had began to reveal itself. So I thought, well, this is maybe a good little project to do some research on with the internet. And it took me actually a long time before I realized what the name of the film was. I knew a lot of the things about it, that it was filmed in Markdale. It starred a man named Jim Davis, an actress named Allison Hayes, who was a big B movie, what they called a scream queen. A lot of the B movies were horrors, and she was starred in many of them. And so with that, and Austin Willis, who was a big Canadian name in acting, and although most people in the world don't know him, he did very well. So I had those three names, and began to search. Oh, the working title was A Boy and His Dog, and there is certainly no movie in Hollywood named A Boy and His Dog, except for one with Don Johnson from 1978 or 79. So that kept popping up all the time, which was quite annoying. But eventually, this film came up called Wolf Dog, and somebody had brought it to my attention. That was the new title. Then once that opened up all the doors. Wolf Dog, there were many screen, what do you call it? Lobby cards, which are collectors trade and whatever. And a lot of those came up on the World Wide Web. And so from there, I began to find that there was something called Internet Movie Database, which I'd never known about. And that had a lot of information on it. And so began to talk to some of the local folks about it. And it was suggested that somebody set up a website. So I found a free website source called Google GeoCities, and set up a really basic website. And people started to see it and post things to it. It was really very interesting. And it was quite popular for a very short while. This would be 2002, 2003, I'm guessing, when I set this up. And we had several names, local names, contributing things, and sending me pictures, telling me stories about it. It was a really exciting time for me. And I started to do things like asking who was in the film. Who a lot of local people showed up as extras in the movie,
Hmm.
and so that was one of my things, was trying to find where they were. Some of the local folks. I'll give you a few names. Ron Wyville, who was a fellow who helped me when I first started searching the movie. He was a young Michael Landon in the movie in one scene in the background, just behind Allison Hayes, and
Hmm.
many people. Walter Stoddard, um, Sandy Urig, who was a young lady there, Alex Dunseith, who was a gentleman who was involved in training the animals, and what I believe probably trained the stunt dogs for one of the most notorious parts of Wolf Dog, the two dogfight scenes,
Wow.
which were which if they were done today in 2020 Markdale, there would have been a SWAT team by the SPCA, because these dogs were really having it out on the main street. These two dogs. There's a black German Shepherd and a German Shepherd, brown and black, having a dog fight, and they were. That's another really interesting story. The original dogs that did all the acting scenes were trained by a gent in Acton, of all places. He trained the dogs, and when they started showing Wolf Dog, they would he would go turn up at the theater and bring the dogs, and they would do tricks. He would have them jump through hoops and do things, and apparently these were very talented dogs.
So what's the movie like, Jeff? What's it like?
What's the movie like? I like it. It's not a Academy Award winner, but it's a nice story about a boy and his dog, how they stick together, and there's a lot of things this boy goes through. He his first dog is killed in a dog fight by the bad guy in the film. He sicks his dog on the boy's little terrier, I think, or no, sorry, it was a beagle, and is killed. And the boy goes through these things. And then the parents are held up in their home by some bank robbers, and I think this poor kid, what he's had to go through. And then at the end, really what happens at the end is that the bank robbers and the bad neighbor, the vicious rancher who's been tormenting them throughout the movie, kind of create this little showdown, and the police show up, and it's it kind of loses its for a lot of people, it loses its believability, because there's a sheriff in the picture all the time, but then suddenly a police constable comes along to do the shoot up in the last scene. So
The continuity wasn't working right.
well, there is a few glitches in the continuity, but the basic story was pretty good. Yeah, the scene where the lady has the bank robbers in the closet, hiding in the closet, and she's got a gun in her hand, and she drops it on the floor.
There you go.
And, it just makes me laugh every time, because I think she has the gun in her hand. They're in the closet. Why would you just throw it on the floor and forget about it? So there are a few things that just didn't quite add up in the end. But I like the movie because it tells you that it's got the good 1950s morals. Families stick together.
Yeah.
The parents kind of blow it. They kind of lose their son's faith in them, but they gain it back. And the dad is actually very courageous, and the boy, it's proven to the boy, and he's got his dog back, and everybody's happy at the end. It's kind of an idyllic ending.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good ending. When you see family being victorious, you can't beat a picture for that.
Jeff, what's the website called?
The website is let's see. I don't have I have my phone, and I don't have my computer near
That's
me.
fine.
What I usually do I just do a search on Google, and for Wolf Dog 1958, the movie made in Markdale. If you type that into your Google search engine, the website will come up. It's basically Wolf 1958 Dog fan site at yolasite.com, I believe is the full.
What if we just
address.
search for Wolf Dog Markdale movie? It'll probably show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That will show up.
I found
Great.
it.
Great. Thanks very much, Jeff. Sam, anything?
Oh well, thank you guys.
There
Thank
it
you,
is there.
Sam, and thank you, Charles.
Or Spice CC?
Yeah, there's the website. You got it.
Yeah. Perfect. Great. Thanks so much, Jeff. It's been great chatting with you. This is exactly what we were hoping to let people know about. So if you haven't heard of Wolf Dog yet, there's a website and yeah, chance to learn more about some great county history, recent history.
Yes, it
And,
is history.
Yeah, it's cool. Thanks, Jeff. Good night.
Thanks, Charles, and thanks, Sam. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Hope to meet you in person sometime, Jeff.
Oh, I look forward to it, Sam. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming.
All right. You guys
Okay.
have a wonderful evening and a great weekend.
Yep, you
Okay,
too.
thanks.
Wolf dog. Is it like, so is it a dog and a wolf crossed? That never
I
really
don't
made
know.
sense to me.
It's like kind of a semi-wild dog, but
Oh.
good at heart.
Oh, okay.
A good-hearted
Okay.
killer dog.
So not a crossbreed.
I don't know. Could have been. Could have been.
I don't know. Could have been. Is there such thing as a crossbreed wolf and dog?
I think
I think you can.
I think they
I think
can
you can
breed.
cross them. They're pretty close genetically. Anyway,
All right.
maybe they'd have like extra fangs or something.
Is that what wolves have? Extra fangs?
I don't know.
We went to a wolf sanctuary once years ago.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
kind of
about
sad,
wolves.
actually. The wolf sanctuary is like 20 acres fenced off near Algonquin Park, near Huntsville.
Hmm.
Even though 20 acres is a lot, I don't like these wolves all needed for whatever reason to be protected. That's why they were there, and they were well cared for and stuff, and living in their natural habitat. But 20 acres is not that much, it seems to me, for wolves. I don't know.
I'm fairly certain I saw a wolf on the way here
Hmm.
one day this year and during the pandemic.
Hmm.
It was in about April, and it was a very large animal. Like I've seen coyotes. They're like,
Scrawny.
like the size of a medium-sized dog. This
Yeah.
was quite large. Like I'll bet you his shoulders are probably up to about my
Hmm.
I don't know, chest or so. He was very big, and he just crossed the road in front of me, about 100 feet away.
Years ago, I was
At a
hiking.
quickly, pretty good canter,
Hmm.
and I did like it could have been a dog, but it's weird to see very large dogs just loose,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like I haven't seen a dog do that, so I asked Mark. He said, "Yeah, it could have been a wolf. I think there's some around here."
We saw a wolf years ago, and I used to do hikes with kids at the Franciscan Center where I used to work near Orangeville, Mount Alverno. I was there for like 15 years. Once we were out hiking in the winter. It was luckily, like 50 kids, a few adults. We were all together, but not too far away. All of a sudden, out of some of the bush came this wolf, and luckily it ran away from us, which is sensible for a wolf. They're not going to run towards like 50 people
Yeah,
or
they hunted
people in
packs.
general. Yeah.
Great. Okay, time for weird blank you see in Grey Bruce. Why is it a Mr. Potato Head?
Because you're the Sam Tater.
Oh yeah, okay. So, Grey Bruce is an interesting place, as you all know. And today we found a picture for you, which I will show you now. Where is it here? Right there. And the picture is. Oh, maybe we can. Maybe not.
A fire hydrant in Lake Huron.
A fire hydrant basically underwater. And this is in. What's the name of the bay again?
It's Miramichi Bay.
Miramichi Bay, south of Southampton, between Southampton and Port Elgin.
Hmm.
So there you have it. There's municipal water. Obviously, they put the hydrant there, as part of like attached to the water main, and the water main must go right up to the edge of the lake, or at least what used to be the edge of the lake, and now it's the actual lake.
Yeah.
So, and we wanted to show you. We just thought this was interesting because I know water levels are a major concern for a lot of people in Bruce and Grey right now,
As
and
well,
and all over Ontario.
cottagers, not just locals, but people who come up and spend a few weeks or even a few months or several weekends through the year. What happened to the water level, Sam? Do you know what happened?
I do not know. I didn't have time to do any research. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe if we got some viewers that might know a little more about it. I do know that the controlling the water levels in the lakes is complicated because of the fact that the U.S. is on the other side, Canada's on this side. You can't just, It's not like you can just go to Niagara Falls and go, oh, I'm going to open the tap and let out a bunch of water, because it would cause flooding downstream.
Right.
It would also impact towns that take their water from the lake. It would impact the U.S. So it's kind of like an international issue as well. So I just know it's very complicated.
We were in Sarnia just this summer, 2020, and that's where Lake St. Clair goes down into the St. Clair River, and then down the St. Clair River goes from Sarnia to Windsor, and then goes eventually into Lake Erie, right? So that river is in one of those literally, like, not literally, figuratively, like a bottleneck for the water flowing out of Lake Huron
Yes.
and continuing down. And I heard years ago that was like a major issue. When the water levels were too low, we were up in Owen Sound seeing them dredging the harbor because the harbor didn't have enough water to support the boats that were in it.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
I know we vacationed on Lake St. Clair last summer.
Hmm.
I know they dredged Lake St. Clair for boat trips, and it tends to fill with silt,
Right.
the whole lake. So it's fairly shallow. I think it's only like 30 feet deep at its deepest or something like that. It's very shallow. But the water level's a problem there too.
Yeah.
Like the water would, like, there was a storm and it came
Way too
right up
high.
onto the lawn where we were staying, and a lot of people were concerned about it. There were sandbags everywhere. Actually, huge piles of sand with like bags nearby, so that homeowners could just like
Make more sandbags.
whenever they wanted. Make the municipality did that, so it's a problem, but I don't think it was a simple solution.
Too high or too low could be a
And
problem.
I remember when we started vacationing as a family in 2009 or something like that, 11 or 12 years ago. I remember the water levels being dangerously low.
Right. That's what I'm
where
remembering.
it was like everybody's dock was sort of,
Stranded.
almost unusable because it was so
Yeah.
far from the water.
Hmm.
So, and now it's like it's encroaching on people's property. It's cutting, like, there's some of them, their property's like cut in half by the water levels. So it's weird. It's a weird problem.
It's also a weird picture just by itself. It's like, oh yeah, fire hydrant in the lake.
Yeah.
Who needs that? What's the point?
Yeah, you might not need one right there. And I wonder, like, Saugeen Shore is like, why do you need a fire hydrant so close to the lake? Can you not just pump it out of the lake?
I don't know.
I don't know, like even under normal circumstances,
Mhm.
like you're right there.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have an end cap, so they thought, oh, we've got a fire hydrant, let's just put that on here instead.
Okay,
I
that
don't
makes
know.
sense.
Who knows?
Weird.
That's weird crap you see in Bruce.
That was pretty good. I think
yeah.
even the Diocese of Hamilton and the never mind.
The what?
Nothing.
The who?
The disclaimer.
He who shall not be named?
Right.
He who shall not be named wouldn't mind that. Telling me he thinks crap is a bad word?
No, he does not.
Okay, good.
I think you're fine.
All right. What have we got next here? We've got Analog Life.
I will show you literally an
Here.
analog item.
Oh, there. That's the intro.
No, that's stupid. It's a terrible intro. It's not a Bible. There it is. A book. It's in 3D. Woo! 3D book. It's
It's a
real.
book.
The book is called The Arians of the 4th Century, and this particular book was published in 1891, this particular copy, 3rd edition, written by a guy called John Henry Newman. Actually wrote it, I think, in 1833, one of the first books he wrote. Famous in Christian worlds. If you follow theology and stuff, you've heard of Newman.
Hmm.
Probably one of the smartest people who ever lived, like Aristotle or, I don't know who else, Stephen Hawking, something like that. And he wrote this book because he felt, this is in England in the early 1830s, as an Anglican priest, Church of England priest, that there was so much confusion about who Jesus was. Writing in the 1830s, very much like our time, I would say, is like there was a real tendency to like think of reason alone as being able to understand, being able to give us the ability to understand all of reality, versus faith and reason working together. And the tendency was to like think of Jesus as, a sage, a wise man, a holy man, a good man. You'd want to follow him. Like I believe Thomas Jefferson at some point produced his own version of the New Testament, which cut out everything supernatural and left only the moral content in. So what were the Arians of the 4th century have anything to do with this? Who were they? Arius was a priest, a Catholic priest, who basically had the same kind of approach to the faith way back in the 200s and 300s, which was like surely God is one, which is definitely part of the Catholic faith, the Christian faith as a whole. God is one, and therefore, and this is not Christian, no Christian today would affirm this, and therefore God cannot be three persons. God is just one. So who's Jesus? Jesus is a guy, maybe a very special guy, maybe even something like an angel whom God has adopted and shared some of his glory with and sent him on a mission to earth. But he's not really God. So for Christians, this is a really big deal. And if you're not a Christian, you might want to know that we as Christians think this is a really big deal. Is he God or not? Is he just like another special guy, like a lot of other really special, wise people down through the ages? So Newman wrote this book because he wanted to kind of get into this idea, who is Jesus really and how do we know? And one of the most interesting things, I'm only partway through it now, that he writes is, early on, not the case anymore, and we couldn't and wouldn't want to do this anymore, but for the first few centuries, Christians would proclaim the basic faith they had in Jesus to anyone who wanted to listen. They'd go out and share their faith with him because they felt it was like the most important thing about who they were. But they would not go into all the details of like the really mysterious parts of our faith until you became a Christian. Once you became a Christian, then they would explain everything to you in more detail. So it's just like he was trying to reflect on his own time, which is very much like our time, and say, hey, let's make sure we get the most basic thing about our faith right. Who is Jesus? That he's truly both God and human, a human like the rest of us. That's why it's kind of a big deal, this book. And eventually this led him to becoming Catholic about 12 years later, because he realized without the church as a whole having the authority to reveal to us what God wants us to interpret, that's the correct word, to interpret for us what God has revealed to us, we can't really share a faith in common. We each have our individual beliefs, which is fair enough, still true, but what do we share? What do we know in common? Anyway, I just thought this book is really, really interesting and important. Probably not interesting to read, maybe unless you're really into theology, by all means read it, but just to think about how you or we today are still trying to figure out who is Jesus, why does he matter? Anyway, what do you think? Have you run into people whom you would call like having the similar beliefs of like they're not really sure who Jesus is, so they just think of him as a wise person?
I was going to say it's fascinating to me how like history sort of repeats itself.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, we tend to think everyone in their own generation tends to think that the problems we face now are unique to our time and are like problems caused by whatever's going on in the world today. So like what I was thinking about is right now technology is so advanced. In the 1830s would have been
just early industrial
revolution. So what I take that to mean is humans were starting to solve a lot of problems and starting to develop rapidly in terms of technology and their understanding of science and medicine and things like that. There's like a real like bolus of like, I don't know, technology and science, right?
Bolus.
A bolus.
I like it.
Yeah. And a lot like now with the technological revolution that we're going through right now.
Sure.
You might start to think, at least I feel like the tendency when I talk to other people, that religion almost gets sort of relegated to like a myth, like or legend, or
purely subjective. It's whatever you want to believe about it.
Purely subjective, or almost, and in some ways, almost a crutch,
right,
for people who like just want to reject sort of science and the new technology and that as like the solution to all of our problems. Well, we're going to hold on to religion because that makes me feel good or whatever, instead of actually being about a real person, Jesus. I just think it's neat that, like you mentioned, 1830. We seem to be kind of going through that right now with the technological revolution, and also in Arian's
around 300.
Around 300.
Yep.
Where he had grappling with the church grappled with the same questions in many different periods, right? Where people just wanted to turn Jesus into kind of just like you said, a sage or a wise person, a guru, whatever you want to think of it as.
And it's understandable, but it's not Christianity. That was Newman's conclusion. And it kind of funny. The funny thing is, it all revolves in the like how this was resolved initially around the letter I. It's kind of weird. So there's a Greek word which means consubstantial or one in being. So eventually the church as a whole, which was then basically the Catholic Church, came up with a statement of faith called a creed, which starts with I believe or we believe. And it has the statement that Jesus is consubstantial, or one in being with, has the same substance as.
Mm-hmm.
The Greek is something like homoousios.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, HOMO dash ousios,
Mm-hmm.
meaning same. But if you put the letter I in there, HOMOI, it means similar to.
Oh, okay.
So the people who didn't follow the basic Christian understanding of who Jesus is would say, yeah, he's similar to the Father, but not the same as the Father. And that was kind of the controversy and how it was resolved by the church, saying, no, we're not going to accept he's similar to the Father because he's the same as the Father. Anyway, it's just even as
Council of
an
Nicaea, right?
yeah,
Nicene Creed, yeah.
yeah, 325.
325. It was a response to the Arian
That's
heresy.
right. Yep.
That Jesus wasn't one in being with the Father. He was like God or whatever.
hmm
Yeah.
So there you go. That is a little bit of Analog Life, a book published in his lifetime still, which is interesting. 1891, I think he lived till 1899 or something. I'm not exactly sure. He's still alive. Third edition. Found it just a couple of weeks ago up in a bookstore in Barry's Bay, or Combermere actually.
You know, it reminds me of a lot of this reminds me of C.S. Lewis's Liar, Lunatic, and Lord.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's kind
where
of
he
the
says
same.
Jesus can't be a good teacher or a prophet or whatever because of his claims to be God.
Right.
You know, if a good teacher claims to be something they're not, basically consubstantial with God, and they're not, then they're either a liar or a lunatic.
Yeah.
Or if he's telling the truth, then he is who he says he is, and he's God, and he rose from the dead, and he is King of the universe, and he really is the real deal.
Yep.
If not, he's not a good teacher or a good prophet. He's either a liar or a lunatic. So
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis said, you have to decide which of the three is he. Right? Let's look
Yeah,
at the evidence. And
And we won't do that today, but I think
we won't do that today, but that would be a good topic.
C.S. Lewis one might be a fun one to look at some point in the future, and important. And again, like if you're listening, watching, whatever the case, you'll have your own ideas about this stuff. But just something to think about, a little bit of analog life, and tying into our next segment, Catholic content.
So today for Catholic content, we have an interview that we recorded quite a while ago, in the middle of the lockdown, with a young man named Chase. He was 16 at the time. I think he's 17 now because his birthday has passed. And he gave us a great interview about his life and his plans for his own podcast. And sort of, we think we played a little game with him at the end. So hope you enjoy. What do you want?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ha! I did it! Oh, I just had to download it on my computer. Oh, that took a lot of work. Hello!
Hello.
Hey, Chase.
You want to talk to me?
Why did we want to talk to you? Because we
Yeah.
want you to be on our podcast.
Oh, I'd love to be a part of your podcast.
We want you to be on it regularly. And since I hear you might be starting your own YouTube channel, we could like cross promote.
Oh.
No cross promotion. I'm against that. No way.
How much money am I gonna get from
See?
you guys?
None.
No cross promotion.
Well, can you put a good word into Father Gary so I can get the cleaning job?
No.
Oh, come on. Cole applied for it too.
That would be a conflict of interest.
So, wait, are you doing the podcast right now?
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh,
We're not live. We're recorded. So
no.
we're gonna post edit and everything.
Okay.
So what we were hoping for is just some general Chase hilarity,
Chaseisms.
Chaseisms, funny Chase stuff that you're so famous for.
Oh no.
On demand.
I'm mostly just known for doing something stupid and people laughing at me.
What's
I'm not really-
what's the stupidest thing you've done this week?
That's a tough one.
Maybe you've had a good week in the sense of not stupid.
No, I did something stupid. You know the knife game? I did the knife game thing and I cut my finger.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that is pretty stupid.
What is the knife game? What do you do?
It's pretty much where you just, I don't know, get a knife and go, I got, like, you put it down on a board and you just go in between
don't
your
do
fingers
that
with a
on the
knife.
video while we're watching, because I don't want to be responsible in any way.
No, don't worry.
I get it. So you cut your finger on the knife game? Okay.
I got one
Yeah,
of
I
these
don't know.
knives.
No, box cutter. Those are weakling knives.
I know.
I have a knife.
Okay,
I've
so
lost my knife more than once. This is actually a Raptors thing. Here's my knife. Twice going to a Raptors game. I just was stupid and didn't leave the knife in the glove box in the car or something, and they like took it from me. Or I could have like gone back in line and taken another hour to get into the game because no knives, even a knife that big.
The last time I went to a courthouse, I took a knife by mistake and got it
Sheesh.
confiscated.
The
Oh,
last
man.
time you were, never mind.
Never mind. My last court date.
At least you get dates. That's good.
Dates? What?
Court dates, whatever. I don't know. Date's a date.
Yeah, speaking of get a date, Chase, tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm a 16-year-old boy who's ready to mingle, turning 17 in a month. So, ladies, no. I don't know, a bit about myself. I
Chase,
don't know.
there aren't going to be any ladies watching this show except our wives.
Oh,
What's up,
man.
ladies?
Sorry.
Or girls you already know probably might
Yeah.
watch.
Maybe girls you already know, so that won't help you.
Sorry.
But yeah, a bit about myself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a 16-year-old boy who I guess turning 17 in less than a month. So
What's the date?
my birthday,
Is that
June
public?
7th.
June 7th?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm becoming a big boy that day.
A big boy?
Yeah, big boy. Big boy. I don't know. I'm 5'7" or 8. I don't know.
Stuff you like to do when you have free time?
All stuff I do when I have free time. Well, before this coronavirus thing happened, I had boxing lessons. Well, I went to Golden Tiger and did boxing there. I like to go down to the trails, sit by the river sometimes. That's where I like to write my little talks about the Catholic faith. You know. I don't know.
Can I ask you a question
yeah.
about your talks about the Catholic faith?
Yes, sure.
Who is your intended audience? Like, who's it for?
It depends on what I'm talking about. Lately,
Okay.
the stuff I've been writing lately, I think, is more targeted towards Catholics who don't really know as much about their faith as they should,
Mm-hmm.
or like people or Catholics who, you know, really don't really put much. You know, they're like still Catholic, but they don't really know the true meaning of being Catholic.
Okay.
They're just, you know, people who are, I guess, you know, were just told to go to church every week, so they do it. You know, lately that's what most of my stuff I've been writing about is
Right.
targeted towards people, so they can get a better understanding of their faith and why they're Catholic and why it's so important to be Catholic. And yeah, that's more right now. I'm thinking of trying to get into trying to talk, you know, I guess connect to people who aren't Catholic or haven't heard much about the Catholic faith. That's what
Mhm.
I think what my future goal is to start doing.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know yet.
So,
I
Chase,
still need to.
Just going back to your current intended audience, I think this is really important for Sam and me, and for anyone who's listening or watching our stuff too. Is why does that need what? And I could have my own answer, but I really want to know what you think. Why is that so important to you to convey that message of what the Catholic faith, is really about to people who are Catholic? Why does that need to happen?
Well, it's because we're the ones who are supposed to represent the Catholic faith, and if we don't know much about our own faith, we're not going to be able to spread the word as well, or you know, help our faith and our, you know, the Catholic faith grow together. And you know, if you're someone who doesn't know about the Catholic faith and someone comes to you asking questions, but you don't have answers to give to their questions, then the people who are wanting to learn about the Catholic faith aren't going to get a really good idea of what it's about, and they're not really going to, you know, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this is
feel
good.
pulled
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
I'm going to ask you a couple of follow-up, like just one follow-up question, and then we'll go to the fun stuff because we definitely want to have some fun as well. What would you say are like one or two things that, in your opinion, a lot of Catholics just like don't know about, like church-going, practicing Catholics, just like stuff they don't know about that they need to know about, just from your point of view, just off the top of your head?
I'd say confession's a big one. I know like a lot of people that go to my church and a lot of people that I guess are in my family who don't go to confession, like they rarely ever go. And they don't really see it as that big of a thing. And I even had in one of my schools, there was a guy, he said he was Catholic, but he's like, I don't think confession's that important. And like he was telling the whole class this. I always hear like Catholics tell me that they don't think, they're like, oh, I'm just sorry in my heart, but you know, I don't think they really understand how important confession is to the
Okay.
Catholic faith.
Anything else that comes to your mind? That's a good one for sure. Really important.
Another one. I guess maybe like I guess following. I guess maybe another thing is I think a lot of Catholics struggle to follow the Ten Commandments in like little ways. Like they try to follow in the big parts, but not like the little parts.
Okay.
Like for example, you know, committing adultery. A lot of I know I have a ton of Catholic friends. Well, who you know, they say they're like good Catholics and stuff, but they always I hear they watch porn and they like do a lot of lustful things, you know, or like you know, and they always tell me, and I tell them that's not good, but they're like, well, no, it's okay. I just don't, you know, have to. It says you don't have. It just says don't have sex, but then it goes to the line. I don't know it fully. I can't really think of the top of the head where Jesus says, if you look upon a woman with lust, you are committing adultery with her in your heart, or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's another big thing I think a lot of Catholics need to learn about.
To transition to the next thing we're going to ask you about, which is more the fun stuff, why do you think it's important to combine like being fun or laughing with explaining the faith, which I think is one of your gifts? Why is the fun part important?
Well, I guess humor, it's kind of adds like a friendly nature to it, and I get people like friendliness,
Okay.
you know, like
How about just
you
like
know,
laughing at Sam? Because I think that's part of the fun for me.
yeah, laughing at him a lot. It's pretty fun.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right.
but yeah.
I think that can we switch to the fun stuff, Sam?
Sure.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, we're gonna play Would You Rather.
Don't forget the 10 Commandments when you answer. Some of them, you never know, might relate.
Okay, first one I think is very pertinent. Would you rather find true love or $10 million?
True love.
Aw,
Wow, isn't that cute?
girls,
So
you got a
lonely.
winner.
Why is that?
I don't know. Why true love?
Well, I guess, you know, life isn't about money. Like money does, you know, help benefit life in some ways, but like if I'm going to marry someone and like, you know, spend the rest of my life with them, I want to have true love for them. I want to be able to feel this compassionate pull towards them where I feel happy and feel like my life is completed with them. So, and that's the person I want to raise my children with, and raise a family and have many children to help you know, build the Catholic faith through them, you know? And I just think, you know, what money doesn't buy true happiness. Like my grandma, she always tells me she has like over 20 some grandkids, and she says she's one of the most richest people in the world because she has all these you know, grandchildren to have love for and affection for. That she says it's the most beautiful thing she's ever seen in her life, and she says nothing could ever replace that happiness.
How come you can go from like fun to profound in like 30 seconds?
Because that's just what he's like. That's why he's on the show.
Okay then. All right, next one.
Obviously, I'd pick true love too, since my wife might be watching. Would you rather know the date of your death or the cause of your death?
And you cannot avoid death by acting upon this
Yeah,
knowledge.
you can't avoid it by acting upon it.
Huh, that's a tough one. I'd rather know how I die. I'd probably say how I die, because honestly, I got a pretty good idea how I'm probably going to die. It's probably going to either one, from me doing something stupid, or two, probably from like a heart attack or something. Because, I don't know, I got bad blood pressure already. I don't know.
Kind of serious.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's just,
What about you?
I don't
What
know.
about you, Spicy C?
I'm a bit of a control freak, so it's probably better for me not to know stuff than to know too much. So probably neither would be good for me. If I had to choose, I'd probably say how.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to know when. That would drive you nuts.
It could.
Yeah.
I've been around people. We probably all have. who've known like they're gonna die very soon, and it's not always scary when you're in the moment. Sometimes it's scarier to anticipate the unknown. Whereas when you're in the moment, sometimes you, especially if you're a person of faith, like God gives you the strength to be there. I don't know. What do you think, Chase?
I don't know. Actually, I think I want to change my answer to know when I'm going to die, so I can have a perfect a confession before my death.
That's a good point too.
Be good with God before you go.
That was funny yesterday.
Yep.
Would you rather spend the day surfing on the ocean or surfing the internet?
I don't know how to surf. I'd probably have more. I'd still probably have fun trying.
Let's
to
say you
surf,
could
so
surf on the
surfing
ocean.
waves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd surf on the ocean.
I actually tried. I tried surfing in the ocean one time in Acapulco, and I got hurt really bad. I got under a wave and it came down and went and smacked my head right into the board,
Whoa.
and I was knocked unconscious. Yeah, I washed up like I rolled up on shore, and they dragged me out.
Glad you made it.
Almost died.
Good thing the undertow didn't.
I would not pick surfing on the ocean.
Well, there's like an undertow that can take you back
Yeah,
out.
it was a big. The waves were big too.
Yeah.
Like it was a stupid day to be out there. Like for beginners to be out there. There's no rules there, of course. Okay, thanks for joining us, Chase.
Thanks a lot, Chase.
We're gonna see you again next time. Ta-da! Well, there you have it. Wasn't that good?
That was good. Raptors update.
Time for the Raptors update.
This has been a crazy.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, there we are.
It's a little
This
long.
has been a crazy week in Raptor fandom or Raptorland or something. Jurassic Park. I don't know. If you're a Raptors fan,
I like Jurassic Park.
that's what they call it. Yeah, it's like a promotional stunt. Anyway, whatever. Sure. It really has been. It's like, basketball is just a game, but sometimes it's crazy what happens. So, Sam, you want to put that still up on the screen? I'll explain what went on. This was like 3 games ago. There's a big guy in the middle of the screen. His name is Taco, which is a great name, Tacko, Taco Fall. He is 7'5". He's like a giant among NBA players. In fact, he's a little too big and awkward to play a lot, but he's going to come into the game because he's going to try to prevent a really, really incredible thing from happening. He's playing for Boston, as you can probably see on his shirt. If you're watching, there's 0.5 seconds left on the clock. A guy named Marcus Smart beside him is pointing and telling him exactly what to do. Marcus Smart's a really, really good basketball player. Taco Fall is to prevent a pass from coming in from out of bounds. The ball will be in Kyle Lowry, the Raptors' best player, is in his hands. He's going to try to pass it in. The Raptors, if you can see the scoreboard, they're down 103 to 101. Boston has 103, Toronto 101. 0.5 seconds left. Only time for like one shot. What is going to happen?
In other words, this guy's job is just to be a human wall,
Yeah.
right?
He puts his arms
So
up. It's
block
like
it.
probably
Yeah,
11 feet high.
Probably
I don't
11
know.
feet in the air. His arms are probably as long as my legs. Like, look at him.
Oh, no. He's huge. Like even for an NBA player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what's the guy's next to him?
Marcus Smart is like 6'4".
Marcus Smart is 6'4". This
Like-
guy is like a foot above him.
Marcus Smart looks like
It's
a
unbelievable.
child next to him, grown man.
Yeah, the size of these guys is crazy.
Yeah.
And you explained this to me before the show, but explain to me again. So this 0.5 seconds, the clock starts at the moment
At the moment the ball touches a player who is inbounds.
inbound in the court.
So Kyle Lowry, the Raptors point guard, will throw the pass.
Mhm.
The clock does not start until it touches a player who's inbounds, who's in
How
the
much
game.
pressure is the guy starting the clock on to start that on time?
Oh, it's kind of funny. And there's been lots of controversies over that kind of stuff over the years. And I'm sure even in this situation, I listened
Like
to it on the
he's
radio.
probably just like,
Yeah, there's like a challenge.
right?
There's a challenge.
It's got to be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It'll be challenged by the other team. But anyways, let's see what happens.
All right, here we go.
Game
I'm
3.
Hoping that everybody.
Raptors are down 2-0. This game could end the whole series.
Oh, hang on. I got to try and get the
Volume up.
audio to work here. Audio up speaker. There it is. Yep.
So the Raptors are down 2-0. It's a best of 7 series. If they lose this game, they're down 3-0. They're pretty much toast. Nobody comes back from 3-0.
and he will be. He is going to guard the ball.
There you go. So he's the
Toronto
guard.
able to advance it here.
And Kyle Lowry is going to have to inbound
There's Kyle Lowry.
against Taco Fall.
Wow.
And Kyle Lowry's not that tall. He's like not even 6 feet tall.
Not even 6 feet.
You call him 6 feet, but he's not
Boston is going to
So they're not
zone
put a
up
taller
here
guy in to throw the ball.
on the side out of
But he's a
bounds.
great
They're going to
passer.
be switching everything back here. Marcus Smart's going to stay up high, taking
Look at the
anybody
corner. Bottom
coming
left
to the
corner of the
ball.
screen.
Series on the line. Anunoby got it off, and it goes!
3-pointer. The Raptors
Did it
win. It was so
count is the
crazy. It was
question.
unbelievable.
OG Anunoby
One of the greatest shots in
buries a
Raptors history. There's one like that last year,
at
actually.
the buzzer.
But
Just an
gotta see
absolutely
this in the slow motion to
great
actually realize,
pass
yeah.
by Kyle
He
Lowry.
caught it, and
Let's
in less
see
than
if
half a
he
second
got
got it
it
in
off.
his hand.
field goal.
Kyle Lowry
Catches
over
it.
the top. Gasol just screened in enough.
And
That
there's
ball's
when the
gone.
Jalen Brown,
I
great
think.
defenders like
It's a
That's
game
realize,
in
oh, we
and
left him
a
open.
Great winner. Great shot by OG Anunoby.
Yeah, they're
but
just
an
getting there way too late,
incredible
eh?
Yeah.
pass
Yeah.
by Kyle Lowry over Taco
Wild.
Fall for the game winner. Boston
pass was
zoned
actually
up at the end.
as amazing
Great
as the
play
shot. Like, how do you
and
pass
a
it across the court
huge win
over a
for the
7'5"
Toronto
guy with his
Raptors.
arms up?
All the talk about the lack of
One big
three-point
arc.
shooting for the Raptors in this series,
we
and
go.
it is a 3-ball from OG
You can see the
Anunoby
countdown.
Point
that
two
walks
and it's left
two,
his
all
hand.
the
then left his
Celtics
hand.
here tonight,
That's crazy.
potentially saving Toronto's season, their first win of this series, and
Yeah.
the first time they have beaten Boston here in the bubble.
So I hope you get a chance to watch this before too long so you can kind of stay up to date. But last night was another crazy game. Not as exciting in that dramatic last half second, but the Raptors won in double overtime. Double overtime doesn't really happen that much in any sport, much less the NBA playoffs. 125-122. They beat Boston, and those of us who are Raptors fans were kind of like sad again because Boston had won another game. But Toronto won another game, Boston won another game, so Toronto was down 3-2. That could have been it last night. Double overtime thriller for the Raptors.
So this is the playoffs.
This is the playoffs. This is the quarterfinals, basically.
Oh, this isn't the first. This is like we're several rounds in.
One round in.
One round in,
This is
okay.
this is round two, basically. So if they win this game, they get to play Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals, in the semifinals, as it were. Yeah, but if they tomorrow night,
Will
Friday
they win
night,
again?
you know what? I just keep thinking, like I did last year, the Raptors win was they won the NBA championship was improbable. It's just like win the next game, just win the next game. So maybe they'll win the next game tomorrow night. And now the pressure's much more on Boston because Toronto's won a championship. They don't have their best player from last year anymore, one of the top players in the league, Kawhi Leonard, but they still have the same team that's been through all this stuff. And yeah, they've got as good a chance as anybody. It's kind of a coin flip. Boston's got probably a more talented team, but Toronto's been through this like really high pressure situations before winning the championship last year. So it's kind of fun. There you go. That is our Raptors update for this week.
Got to cut the end off of that one.
Hey Sam,
Hey,
the Sam Tater.
yes,
How'd we do?
I think we did good.
Good.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it for Swamp Things.
Swamp Things, episode 8. So thanks everybody for watching. This has been Swamp Things, and we hope you will join us next time. As always, leave us a comment, question, concern, angry retort, whatever you want, at swampthingspodcast@gmail.com. swampthingspodcast@gmail.com. Final word to you, Spicy C.
It's a great day to be a Raptors fan. That was my weak Scottish accent. But
That was a
great...
terrific Scottish accent. What are you talking about? Anyway. So
Okay.
thanks everybody for joining us. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
See you.